and start off cooking
That
for them,
too.
and they'll sit there
Right,
and watch
right, right,
and see what they're
right.
doing, and they find their own shortcuts after that. But that's how.
Too, they got to bring in a skin, something with a skin that looks like yours. You know, it's like a patch, it's like a scab. It's really injury, something covering injury, and they bring that motherfucker in there, you'll believe it. You know what I'm saying? You'll look and say, oh, okay, it's a sister run that motherfucker. Or even if it is Chinese run, you say, okay, they got some sisters working there. You say, okay, it must be pretty good. Yee. This is crazy as hell, bro. Yeah, they basically work for slave labor at the whims of the West. See, and they work for $2 or $3. About 10 of them sleep on top of each other, right? And it is basically paid few dollars a day to pirate Western thought, intellectual thought, and intellectual property. And even on the military side, the government side, they espionage and even steal the military secrets. So even that's pirated. Their military machine is largely pirated for the most part. When we follow those espionage news stories, man, over the last 20, 30 years. Yeah, so all kind of all kind of ways to undo them motherfuckers. Pretty much, right? That's the nail in the coffin. Right, 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 right. Yeah, 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 right. And then there's no historical wrongs. Right, right, right. Yeah, this is not economic. Right. And I can't recall any historical or community based shit that they've done here on a business economic level or historical. I haven't seen any. Yeah, yeah. What's that? Right.
That hot dog banging with that bread.
Yeah, I would. You're right. I would probably insert that. There's probably some inner beef. There's probably some beef though, right? Right. I think also too. There's a little beef between them too. To keep each other out of each other's territory too, right? You think the tie's not just staying out the hood just to stay out of the hood. Yeah, they probably said, "Yeah, like, oh, wow, you about to, that my area, I've been here for 20 years, nigga. You're not Chinese, and you're not Chinese either. You Thailand, motherfucker. You know, right, right, yeah. So they probably try to keep them out of there a little bit, a little bit. You know. Because yeah, true that fact. Because them Chinese motherfuckers got a hell of a. This is one thing we don't talk about too much. I go into it on my channel, dude. Them Chinese got a mean underground, organized crime underground. Dude, out of all of them groups we named, the Chinese. That's why motherfuckers don't come in on them Chinese restaurants. They kind of leave them wherever they at. They don't really encroach on their shit because they can bring an underground on that motherfucker. Deal with them competing China Asian people if they want to. Shit. Right. Right. Oh, facts. Facts. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Right. At least not the face value. You'll see the fentanyl brought in from China in the hood, right? You'll see a lot of the guns. They produce or bring in a lot of that shit. The drugs, a lot of that shit come out of China. Mhm. Right, right. don't report them up, but they put our ass in the reports. We bringing in fentanyl from China. We're driving the boats. Oh, right, right, right. You hit on something real important. A lot of motherfuckers ain't talking about. Yeah, they have a backup system. See, so among the Asian community, they got some of the best, right? Between the Koreans, they have a backup. But yeah, but it's Thailand, Japan. They just got their military back a few years ago. They was allowed to form a military again under U.S. guidance. Eh, right. But China, shit. Yeah, China got a huge backup system. Facts. 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 Right. I'm telling you, that's what we're gonna have. That's that. You know how I am. That's the answer all day to me. And I wouldn't say that's the only answer, but the answer is part of the answer, which require a multifaceted approach. You got to have that. You got to. You're gonna have to. Right. 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 All over the world. Hey, you hear about that? You hear about that big Juneteenth in Africa coming up in Africa? That's not even an African holiday. Right. Everybody but us. Right. 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 And a lot of the Africans and LGBT groups are trying to hijack the Juneteenth legacy too, as we speak. Last over the last few years, they're trying to make the LGBT day right along a couple of days before. I think on the same day as Juneteenth, or right before. I think it's the day before Juneteenth. LGBT. It, it's just hideous, horrible. Right. All this fag shit up in here, bro. Right. Wow. And it's made up. Most of it's made up. Right. 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 Yeah. what they doing, what they not, what they doing. They remember this that what we describing with the affiliation and tether on a legacy on top of the true struggle is that they begin this shit back in the 70s. Well, watch the magic trick. Back in the 70s is when this shit started. The LGBT thing just start, right? We ain't gonna do that. It's plan. Where they got it today, it's been in motion for about arguably since the early 70s. And so where I'm going with this is that watch this. So we go back to the 70s, baby. That's when they actually when the critical aspect of the LGBT becoming legitimized occurred then, partly by removing it from the DSM psychological books. That occurred in the early 70s. They began to undemonize it then. Anything before that is questionable because they were considered insane before that, and nobody wasn't really supporting them like that. Really, even it was taboo, really, to be honest, up until what recently, maybe in the 80s, whatever, late 80s, 90s, whatever. It's become almost open season now. But my point is that yeah, they can probably okay. They bring you a picture from the 1970s and some motherfucker fighting for lower gas prices along, us because somebody got shot or whatever in the hood, and they wearing bell bottoms and got or disco outfits on. But yeah, they got a little flag or whatever. Yeah, I mean, yeah, they can do that. But even still, you have to wonder about, are they fabricating shit, taking shit from with technology here now? They can actually augment a lot of that shit now. It's hard to believe any physical artifact unless you actually been there, something like that. In my opinion. In my opinion, yeah, you know what I'm saying. I mean, I'm real reluctant to take anything in those damn museums. I would question all that shit in the museums. It's just hideous, man.
Freaky motherfucker.
They hijacking other people's legacies like they do in ours. That's how cancer function. They don't have a history. Yeah, even even white folks. Look at the we can shift this all over. Yeah, they stick to like where that last or movement was about in the 60s. Go into see what the core issue was. These motherfuckers probably was added, brought in a couple of them to like rap. Like we seen this with the debate with rap. It was created by us, like everything else mostly is. But the Latinos, right? When we were there, we weren't there. Right here, yeah, you was living in New York, motherfucker. But you didn't create. That's different from creating and active involved in the orchestration of hip hop. That's an ongoing debate now in the same fashion right now, and they're trying to go back to the 70s and 60s. The gay motherfucker in relation to particularly different from what they're referring to back in them white points of history. You're talking about in Germany, that's fine for them. I'm talking about the part where they add into the Juneteenth and the Black legacy. I think you said something about, they said, well, they've been helping you guys from the beginning. Oh, them motherfuckers lying like a motherfucker. They lying like we had mother been helping her anything. We don't give a fuck. Yeah, right. That's what I was saying. Right. I said they do it in a different month, but they don't have a real history nor a real struggle. Right. They say, well, blacks are called hell. We need to catch some of the hell that they caught. Maybe we need to go to and march on St. Pettis Bridge. We got a lot of Right, right, right. It, it would, and it go in January, it would fit. It'll make sense spiritually too. Go out there in the middle of the cold and shit with nothing growing. That's like there, it's nothing growing. Right. Yeah, that shit gonna grow. Them reproduces in the cold. Or take their ass out there with that shit. Yeah, most of them white anyway. Right. He was, he even stole that shit. That shit stole it from growth and from reproduction, thus giving the proliferation of non-repeating, differentiating colors, what represents the proliferation. Them up was on a total dichotomy, diametric opposite to that shit, man. Diametric opposite. Number one. Number two. Notice that the real rainbow got 7 to 8 colors. This mother got 6 colors. Look at that, guys. 6 colors. I'll leave that on the table. No, no, number. Well, why they were right? What's that all about? Number the third thing. Look at the colors of normally how the rainbow. No, look, check this out. Watch this. Look at the colors in the rainbow. How it's typically depicted before LGP hijacked it. Look at their color arrangement versus the traditional rainbow color arrangement. The for LGBT rainbow colors are organized upside down. What about that? Want me to leave that on the table? Everything's reversing backwards. I can go on and on. It's some more shit, but that give you enough to say, God damn, that shit is all reversed, all inverted. It's all flipped. It's not what you think it is. It's all backwards in a lot of different ways. Yo, right.
Hey, come on, man. That's my birthday, bro. You ain't about to do the Capricorn.
Right. 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 Two. I was going to say the toothpaste. Don't forget the toothpaste. Right. Right. And one looking forward. Right. Right.
That's what. No, that's supposed to be our dual type personality.
Right. We kicked a lot of ass in June. We kicked a lot of ass in June and in August. August is another month we kicked a lot of ass. The month was in January. Yeah, spiritually it makes sense. Right. 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 Everything dead in that motherfucker. Right. Right. But we don't have it. We haven't. We claiming travesty and oppression, Laurel, but we haven't actually been afflicted like you guys have. So, do you mind if we can say our struggle is like the black struggle? If you do, if we put a holiday together, can we put it next to Juneteenth to affiliate our struggle with your day, one of your days of struggle that's recognized?
You know what you're gonna hear, bro? You know what you're gonna hear? Somebody's gonna be looking at you like, what makes me any less black? Like, why
Right.
am I anything less than what you are?
I'm actually been more oppressed worse as I'm black and LGBT. I'm both.
Yeah, right. So
I'm
it's
both.
double oppression. Yeah.
I get the short end of both sticks. No pun intended. Right. But we face suppression, Laurel. You don't get it. You don't see the hate that I do. Right. Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Right. 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 What I tell them when they say shit like the facts, facts, facts. What I tell them when they say that shit about compare, I said, look, we don't. I said, for one, it's disrespectful as fuck to the true legacy and the ones who suffer beyond all measure. Number one, number two, what identifies us to qualify what related to the Juneteenth holiday is that it's not optional. Being black is an optional, like versus a sexual lifestyle. That there breaks the motherfuckers back. See, it's not optional. What we've been through, it wasn't an option. We was forced to endure that shit. They're not forced to endure that shit. They can take that shit off anytime they get ready. See, they can talk like a man at work at Starbucks and talk like a man because I had took a pills and I'm dressed up like a man. I'm a woman, but I can go home and just talk regular, my natural voice, which most of them do. That's another conversation, but I've been talking to some online about that. I said, what do y'all talk? I said, y'all let that fairy voice go away when you go home? Most of them say, yeah, we actually do. See, they talk regular as hell when they go to, that's only a public display with that shit for the most part. They acting regular when they talk, at least talk regular with a regular voice when they go home. That pretending shit is mainly for when they're out in public. And I talked about a few things actually. I talked to some of them in some of the groups. Like, what about your inner dialogue when you talk to yourself and tell yourself, "Come on, Laura, we got to get this together." Do you, man? You already know where I'm going, bro. I said, do you carry that character on even with your internal dialogue? Most of them said no. Right? It's a few of them that say yeah, but most of them say no. It's interesting. But that's going into another area. But it's related to how fucked up these motherfuckers are and how tethered they are to even their original self. Just talk regular. I just talk to them regular. Yeah, you know. Yeah, it's yeah. In some groups they talk freely about it, and I ask, and so I see the flavor of the conversation is like open. They kind of open about talking about it, so asking it amongst each other, and some of the straights are coming and asking questions, and I just go ahead and
What
pose.
the
I
group
said, well, you know
doing?
what? Well, what about this? And they say, oh yeah, man, I keep it. I talk in my regular. What word did them dumb motherfuckers say that they called it? Some of them dumb motherfuckers said he said my self or some shit, some ignorant shit like that. He said my self. I said this motherfucker's dumb as hell. Yeah, these damn some old ignorant made, and that's made up and tethered onto the real self, like tethers and shit, made up shit, man. That shit don't be making no goddamn sense, man. Shit made up. Notice they predicate off us. All heteros make all homos, and all homos make heteros. Even their gender identity is always a tether. We make them. They don't make us. All gays were born from heterosexual parents. See, and I tell them that. So. I mean, we're still people. Love is love. Right. Exactly. Right. Right. And they'll say, well, I mean, love is love. I got children. You got somebody else's children, man. You tethered your parenthood is contingent on somebody else's natural ability to reproduce. Yeah, that's what in the occult we go into how evil functions on different levels, particularly where reproduction is concerned. Evil in its purest form can't reproduce. This is why it steals, enslaves, robs. The soulless, so it need a soul. It's preoccupied with somebody else's soul. It possesses. You don't have a body of his own. They want to possess yours. And parasitism. Life in it. I can go on and on naming all the different aspects of that shit. And so it's contingent on a host by and large. Very interesting indeed. Interesting. Particularly how they try to rationalize that shit. To listen to them rationalize their Frankenstein logic is likened to how a vampire rationalizes to you why he should feed on motherfuckers. I mean, I'm thirsty too. I get hungry. I mean, what am I to do? Dry up and curl up? Where's the humanity in that? I'm a person too. This is what they say. We've heard the debates. Surely I shouldn't die. Go ahead, brother. Just live. huh? Huh? What you said? I didn't hear you. Yeah. What about me? What about me over here? Yeah, love is love in this motherfucker. Oh hell no, nigga. Get your ass out of here, bro. Yeah, I'm somebody in this motherfucker. Shit. And all horror in all horror movies it work just like that. uh, but they figure they gotta try it, right? They gonna try it. Yeah. Just tell the patch, motherfucker. Oh, hell no. Man, what the hell this mother talking about? Somebody want to hear that this ragged ass gotta say. This motherfucker's a coon. Sell out.
Hello, family. Welcome back to the African Diaspora News Channel. I am Ongil Zalalem, and today I have a topic for you, a topic that will open a conversation for sure. Because this man, this political scientist, according to his page at least, he's a political scientist. He's a Chinese political scientist. His name is Huey Lee. Hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly. That is his name. And he recently posted a video explaining why he believes his people, the Chinese people, are so racist. And that's a direct quote from him. And he brings about 4 or 5 points, which I want us to talk about, because some of them, I don't know how to swallow. I don't know, does not make sense to me. But some I'm like, okay, it still doesn't justify what they are doing and how blatant they are about it. But I see where it's stemming from a little bit. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think it's a conversation worth having, and he's being honest. At least you don't hear a lot of them accepting it, unless some of them are blatant. But him, he's like, I'm not even going to sugarcoat this. Lee, I hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly. That is his name. And he recently posted a video explaining why he believes his people, the Chinese people, are so racist. And that's a direct quote. He brings about 4 or 5 points, which I want us to talk about, because some of them, I don't know how to swallow. Worth having, and he's being honest. At least you don't hear a lot of them accepting it, unless some of them are blatant. But him, he's like, I'm not even going to sugarcoat this, like we are. And he also talks about how even the ones that are abroad, the diaspora, the ones that we believe could be allies, or at least some people believe that they're allies because they stand up for other people and they talk about it. I mean, I don't know. Unless you've been under a rock, you must have seen the back and forth, the conversation when it comes to Chinese people and Black people, specifically the Natasha doll, and also boycotting Chinese businesses in America also has stirred such a huge uproar. Like one side is angry and they're saying, okay, do I am Ongil Zalalem, and And today I have a topic for you, a topic that will is angry, and they're saying, okay, do it, as if like Black people can't exist without buying stuff from the Chinese. But also the other side of the Chinese in the diaspora were pleading with their people, please stop doing this. We're going to end up being hurt at the end of it because we will lose out on, sales, and future relationships are going to be impacted because of this, right? So yeah, definitely there has been a lot going on. But first, let me show you the guy and then we can talk about it. I told you it's like 4 or 5 points that he mentioned. Let's talk about it.
This very disturbing someone told me about this very disturbing TikTok trend in China. It feels painful to even describe it, but since I grew up there, I feel obligated to have a few words. So basically, a lot of people in China were filming themselves torturing these dolls that have dark skin. Not just any dolls, but specifically dolls with dark skin, which apparently sends a racist and sadistic message.
But I also want to note how pressure also works. He is speaking about it along with many Chinese people that I've watched online coming to my feed. They start their video by saying, people have shared this with me. People have been asking me to talk about this. People have requested that I address this. So you can sense like the pressure they feel, and people are like, are you going to talk about it or not? So they're also, they feel like they have to talk about it. I don't know how I feel about that, because if you really genuinely cared about the topic, you should organically pick it up, correct? But regardless, that's how they started, and that's like what is it called? Like something that I've noticed happening over and over again whenever I'm hearing Chinese people addressing the situation that's going on in China and the black doll, Natasha.
Message. It really pains me to talk about this. Maybe I could say something like not all Chinese, but it wouldn't mean much, because statistically, the Chinese population, including the immigrants outside China, are still, in general, pretty racist.
Like when I heard this, I remember like I was watching it on my phone. I'm like, oh my goodness, at least you're very honest. I can respect that. I can respect the honesty, because a lot of statements start with, it's not all of us, it's because like there's so many excuses that are being given, right? But him is like, I'm not going to sugarcoat this. I'm not going to lie. Like a big chunk of Chinese people inside China and outside China, the immigrants, the diaspora, are pretty racist. And like he's very direct about it.
There's no way to sugarcoat it. They just are. So I want to talk a little about why. Especially since most people in China never had a chance to see a black or brown person up close. Where does this behavior come from? First, I want to say, just as in any country, racism is always highly correlated with ignorance. You need to understand, contrary to what many people may have told you, most parts of China.
Okay, he's going to explain how the Chinese are undereducated. We'll watch it. But here, like, when you start off, your first point being ignorance, this is something that I've been seeing a lot, like when they're trying to explain what's happening with Chinese people in regards to how they treat, how they see, how they perceive, how they mistreat Black people. It's like, it's ignorance. And, it's because they're not as educated. It's because they haven't interacted with many Black people. And so I don't know, I feel like it's a cop-out. Like there are so many uneducated people, not just in China, but everywhere in the world, right? The degree or the percentage might differ, but there are. So I'm not sure I don't know if humanity you can say ignorance can justify you not having or feeling that humanity towards that other race. But let him continue.
Highly undereducated. Pile on me if you want, but it's true. I mean, their education is okay in terms of math and science, but when it comes to humanities and social sciences, it's like non-existent. Maybe some top universities have some decent programs, but high schools and local colleges are basically in the Stone Age. There's no empirical political science at all, no sociology, no human geography, maybe some geography, but not human geo. There's history, but the content is highly selective. Almost everything in the history textbooks has something to do with glorifying the Chinese Communist Party, not much else. Literature, well, barely. The reading assignments in high schools are very boring, except maybe a few ancient pieces, and very few translated articles from other countries. So basically, students are not supposed to understand people and societies. They're trained about everything else, but not human beings.
Okay, let me say this. Okay, I'll continue. He will talk because he has a few points I want to talk about. Okay, I hear him, right? Like I hear what he's trying to say. Like their focus is never about like social studies, sociology, human beings. It's more so like other areas like science and stuff. That's what they want them to focus on. Like as a country, as a nation, that's what they focus on, right? So his argument is that the humanity aspect of things, like they're not really learning a lot, and they're not well versed, well educated in that area. Okay, let's take that for face value. And it makes sense in a way. But then you talk, because he started, like the reason why he's talking about this is because of the Natasha doll and what's happening in China, how they are using this doll as a stress relief toy and how they're treating it, mistreating it, went global to the point where the Chinese government has to intervene and educate its people and say, stop this, do not do this. This is going to incite, violence. Even though they didn't address the race side of this, we did, so it's fine. We thank God for social media. We'll still have a voice, and our perspective is going to be heard. That's why it's important to have this conversation. So in that situation, situation, because he started with that situation, themselves, the Chinese said when they were asked, how come you are only using and abusing that specific black doll instead of the rest? Because that doll comes in different shades, right? White, yellow, whatever. So when they were asked that, the reason, at least the reason that they've given and the reason that was trending, the reason they gave was, the white is too close to us. When we look at white doll, they feel it. They feel like they're doing something wrong. But when they were doing it to the black doll, they thought it was okay. That was the whole point of the controversy. So if you're saying it's because they don't have the humanity, or they're not really developing their human side, they're not like supporting them in that way in school. How about when it comes to other races? They can empathize. They can be like, oh, we don't want to touch the white doll because it's like they feel bad about it, but they're not feeling bad about doing the most, horrific, egregious things to the black doll. So again, they pick and choose who they will empathize with, and they have a sense of humanity and care when it's a different race that's not black. So that's where I'm like, I try to understand and I get what you're explaining, but then again, there's this contradiction to the same topic, at least the way that people were reacting.
This way, the ruling party has an easy
whenever
time
it's posed,
telling
it
them what
lags.
to do. And that ignorance also infected the Chinese immigrants in other countries, because they're mostly STEM majors. They not only don't know social sciences, they kind of look down on social sciences. Some of them think political science is pseudoscience because the data are not as neat as in a chemistry experiment. Well, that'd be another topic. But basically, ignorance in how the human world works is always a big risk factor for racism. The second explanation, the cult of money in China affects the psychology toward race. I mean, of course, Americans love money too, but compared to how much Chinese love money, you guys are like amateurs. China literally has a god called Caishen, which means god of money. I don't know any such god in other cultures, but Caishen is a big deal in China.
So yeah, the second point, the first one, he said ignorance, right? That is why he believes they are anti-black. Secondly, he gives the reason he gives is the love of money. He even compares it with Americans or the West and how people love money there. But he says, you got nothing on the Chinese. Like, we love money. We love money to the point where we have a god for money, and we take it very seriously. And he explains in the video, I don't want to make it too long, that's why I'm like recapping what he's saying, but that's what he's saying. And he did give examples of the Chinese perceive black people as not wealthy, rich, but they perceive white people as wealthy, rich. Hence, according to him, they give more respect to the white man versus the black man, because they believe the white man has more money, right? So that is what he goes on to explain.
By Chinese of different beliefs, like Buddhists, Taoists, and some other local paganists, even atheists, they all sort of worship the god of money. This money cult was especially explosive in the last half century because China was in this transition from the Maoist version of hungry communism to a neck-breaking extreme of capitalism. So two generations of Chinese were basically rediscovering economic competition. And they just went crazy. There's not a family or friend gathering in China where people don't talk about money.
Again, this is what I also was saying earlier. I'll hear his thoughts and I'm like, okay, makes sense. But then I quickly remember the other side of things. You're saying love of money. Okay, but love of money, does it really take away? Well, you know what? I'll take it back. I was going to say, does it really take away your humanity? But we've seen how wealthy people are towards others. So you know what? Let's scratch that.
So of course, race is also incorporated into that monetary value system.
Let me forward it and find the third point he's making.
Bodyguards, why do you care? Before she could figure out what happened, one of the white race as a proxy to decide who can be a source of revenue. A lot of Chinese disrespect Black people because they don't see a swell pocket. You can see this in the United States too, right? Even the most racist motherfuckers would pretend to be polite in front of rich Black people, right? I bet you'll see a lot of crazy Chinese fans too if some NBA teams visit China. So part of racism is really just classism. Okay, my third point. Some of these racist video trends may have been the Chinese government's strategy.
Now, this one I didn't see coming. I'm going to be honest, okay? The third point he gave was that the government in China is actually encouraging this, like the way the doll blew up online, and how it, if you remember, if you watched my previous video and I talked about Natasha the Black stress relief doll and how they were treating it, I was saying how the reason why the rest of the world, us on this side of the world, we learned about the doll and how they were treating it and how they were doing the most was because some people took it out. It was trending in China in their version of TikTok, Red Note. Some people took it from there, took screenshot, downloaded it, and posted it on our side of TikTok and social media. So that's why we were able to see it. So his argument is that nothing goes under, undetected under the Chinese government. The reason he believes, the reason why they allow this to go viral and even move across, all the way across the world, like on our side, and we heard about this, is strategic, according to him. Did not like, I was like, wait, what? Let him speak.
But I know for sure that the CCP wants Chinese immigrants to be hated in America.
I mean, I've never heard that argument before. Any of you have? Please write it in the chat. You know this is live, so if you want to write your chat, I can read it in real time. So yeah, did you know this? Please let me know.
Why? If they're hated, vulnerable, and be more loyal to the motherland, they'll either go back or maybe help China achieve some policy goals in the US. So there's a very real possibility that the Chinese censors intentionally let those trends slip through their fingers to sow discord between Chinese immigrants and African Americans.
According to him, that's the reason that he's giving. That's the third, right? Let me forward it to the fourth one. Fourth point he makes.
Deeply unhappy.
The fourth point he makes is that the Chinese people are deeply unhappy.
And unhappy people tend to be racist, as you can probably see in the MAGA crowd.
Well, he's not wrong in that, like, for sure. Not just when it comes to racism, but in other aspects of our lives, when it comes to envy, when it comes to homicide, when it comes to people burning people's houses, when it comes to friendships, even just like generally, the most unhappy people are the ones that do the most. Like, you sense envy, jealousy from them. They do not mind to tear you down, even if it means it will hurt them in the process. They will even unalive other people. Like, yes, unhappy people for sure can be racist, of course, in this type. But also, again, I'll go back to my point. I've met so many unhappy people before, as well as me. Like, not all of us, we're not always happy, and we have our seasons. We have the toughest seasons of our lives, and we have our happiest times of our lives. And I try to think, and I try to see everyone around me, and I'm like, yes, of course, there are someone they're unhappy. They they really are cruel, right? But you see, people that are unhappy, they still can be kind. They still treat their fellow human being as a human being. So I get the example, I get the excuse, but with the way they're moving, it's just, it doesn't level. It's just too much, too much animosity for my liking. But let him continue.
People are desperate to vent on someone. Chinese people can't vent on the government because they don't want to go to jail. And they can't vent on white people either because it may cause diplomatic incidents and their accounts may get banned. So what do? They look for a target that will not get them in trouble.
That's another point. Oh, goodness gracious. Okay, that's another point. I don't want to glaze over. He said they're unhappy. Yes, we agreed on that. Okay, unhappy people can be cruel. Unhappy people can be racist. Unhappy people can be horrible people. But there are also unhappy people that are not doing that, okay? Let's make it clear. But the next statement he made, have or face consequences. Those were his words. I mean, in different words, but that was what he was explaining. They won't do it to the get into diplomatic issues, and that's what he said, but they will probably do things towards the black doll because they don't think there will be any consequence that will come after doing that. Let that sink in. We're being disrespected because they believe that nothing will happen to them afterwards. That's why they are doing what they're doing. But they wouldn't dare do that to the other race. Watch it. Rewind and watch it.
Why are Chinese people unhappy with all this booming economy? Well, I talked about it many times before, so I just repeat it very briefly. So one thing is the fierce competition.
Yeah, he explains why they're unhappy. Competition, schooling, even mentions like the LGBTQ, like they are very much so controlled. So because of that, they also don't have an outlet. So that's one of the 4